Okay, this is very much a test run. I've set my GoPro style camera in the caravan. I'm going to do some recordings for you. I've got a whole stack of material which I haven't recorded ever, and most of it I don't play. It's quite lyrical. I've just written a new song and I'm working on the melody at the moment, but the poem as such is worthy to be read out by itself. And in commemoration, if you could call it that, of my forthcoming journey, which is to Africa, which was only going to be to Morocco, but I've delayed it for now a year, and I'm trying to make a campaign for other people to get involved with, especially other groups. And if I'm going to be cycling thousands of kilometres like I did between here and Palestine 3 years ago, I thought, well, somebody else could benefit from that. So in the next few weeks I will be creating a website or a blog site of sorts and asking people to contribute and make donations of one type or another. And I thought, well, you know, it's one of those journeys again where I don't know the outcome. I have no destination. I could be going all the way as far as South Africa, which is beautifully geological and ecological countryside, which is something I've always wanted to see. But Africa as a whole is a nation and an indigenous nation that I want to experience. And if anything, if I could raise any funds from this journey, it would be towards the preservation of indigenous cultures. It would be for the assistance of children who are not necessarily in poverty, but certainly who are under threat and who cannot express their natural freedom, whether that's through some form of Western economic pressures, whether that's through national or local affliction which denies children the right to live as free human animal beings. My cause is not for charities like cancer research and leukemia, even though the people behind those have much compassion and much energy. They're receiving enough funding, in my opinion. But I haven't taken medicine now for probably over 20 years. I haven't seen a doctor in just as much a time. I get through most of my experiences through most of my infirmities through developing my immune system through good habits, good food, outdoor life, contact with nature, and social equilibrium. I think sometimes most of the problems in this world are created through concentration of resources, including people, and many diseases or infirmities are created within city environments which are dependent upon forms of biological warfare against the human being, including pharmaceuticals, which is why I don't go to see doctors, even though they may have a natural understanding sometimes of the condition that they're dealing with. The first defense is always psychological, and that can only be harnessed through integrity and feeling that you are in your right environment in the first place. So it will be for indigenous cultures, it will be for children who need to escape the afflictions of human cultural conventions, including dependence on pharmaceuticals, including armed warfare, including corruption and decadence caused by uh, material zealousy. And this is very much what happens in much of the third world, where I think the native cultures are influenced by Western materialist ideals. They are not for me. I am indigenous here in Catalonia as an olive farmer. I live in a caravan, a simple caravan, which is all I need. I do return to London as a gardener. I have a few very loyal clients who give me work when I need it. And I sell my olive oil in London. And I'm looking for a greater international product base, really, so that I can create a community here for indigenous like-minded people who maybe could be travellers, but who will always come back and enjoy their work. The idea is that people will come back instead of just visiting a project once in a while, but actually coming back and helping to create and eventually living here for a period of time in their life. To bring up children in an environment which is protected from cultural convention. I do see an equilibrium between technology and spirituality. And I think sometimes our dependence on technologies, and these could be as much as pharmaceuticals, as much as monoculture, as much as the concretization of the environment. There's a balance in which truly I think technology only heals or augments the human being to some sort of self-actualization, because that human being or that human person can create the technology through their own hands. To buy the product off the shelf is still a detachment from the creativity that the spiritual person needs to experience. So there is an equilibrium there, and you cannot be too dependent on technologies. They just become like toys in the end, and do not cultivate the spiritual mindset or the consciousness to feel fulfilled. So I wrote this lyric just maybe 2 or 3 days ago, and I've already put some music to it, but I'm not going to play the music at this moment. And it will be for my journey, as I did in Palestine trip, where I recorded a song and played it for 8,000 kilometers. This one is in a strange way looking at my other side, my other self, which I project onto other people. And sometimes I wish I had me a woman who would be a perfect match. But really, these are projections. Everyone creates other people in their own image. They label. They even create their children in their own image. And they want those children to be their success stories. So people who feel unfulfilled or feel as though they've failed in life, they have children in order to hope for their success and for the fulfillment of their own kind, their own genetic kind. This is the basis of why people do have children. As far as I know, I don't have children. I don't know if I'm actually capable of having children. I certainly had many female relationships. Not too many. I've been celibate for many years. At this present moment in time, I am solo. In Spanish, the word is soltero, or solterio, which I've just learned, interestingly, is an old project of mine. Soteriologicgarden.com is the name of the website. You can find probably this video and my work here in Catalonia. Soteriologic or soteriology is the philosophy or concept behind divine salvation. And for me, divinity is contact with nature, with the environment. So soteriology is an interesting word of many syllables. You've got soul, terra, rio, logic. Soul as in fire, and sun, ter, T-E-R, or tierra, as in earth. So to rio as in water, and logic. So with those three elements we create life, as we know it. Conscious life, evolved life. A life which is a consciousness, a logic, a logos, that in animals you may experience only as a collective, but in the human being, it is for us to be in harmony with the world and with all the animals and plants that have been put here before us. And to do this, we must make the bridge back again to the natural kingdom. And that is our soteriology, that is our divine salvation. My name is Merlin Peter, Augustus Caesar Merlin Peter, for I have claimed my own title. Augustus Caesar Merlin Peter of the house of Elias Jacob, from my Greek father. Descended from Mother Earth, conqueror of many nations. Because I won the hearts and the love of those people. That's how you conquer. And it was the envy of every wanton emperor to conquer the hearts of people, to be loved by them. That's what it meant to be emperor. And if you didn't have that, then you were truly a fake. And it is like that with kings and queens. For a leader is chosen by its people. And with my political antics in London increasing, with my desire to claim my own sovereignty, I go on this journey, just as I did on that Palestine trip, when I created a forest fire at the back here, purely as an act of God. It seemed I played into the hands of the wild, into wilderness, and then I saw the flames come up around me. And this connection with fire for me is a spiritual immersing. It is a baptism. And now, whether that be baptism would be of fire or water or earth or logic, I go on a journey which I don't necessarily have an idea to come back. But I have a passion for the landscape. I love this Catalonian, beautiful, beautiful country. And I love being an olive farmer. And this is a project for people to come and endeavour. This is a project which, through my expansion of consciousness, I hope to draw people into, so that they can cultivate their own consciousness, their own spiritual awareness, which doesn't necessarily have to be a celibate, a reaction, but certainly one in which you appreciate your own biological sexual cycles. And actually, if you see how I write my poems, much of it looks at exactly that point, you know, our biorhythms, how men as well as women have cycles, sexual cycles, and we must develop our spiritual consciousness alongside those cycles. I'm not particularly feeling good this morning, which is probably why I'm in this interesting, enlightened mood, because I've actually got this camera going for the first time, and I've gone through my music, and I've counted about 91, 92 songs, which the majority of people haven't heard, and that's not including some instrumentals. So we're close approaching 100 songs here. And in the last year or so, I've slowly gone over to playing what people really want to hear, which is the middle of the road stuff, you know, Bob Dylan, Bob Marley. some Stevie Wonder, which I hope to take with me on my journey as well, down the west coast of Africa, because I'm sure those black people I've mentioned are highly appreciated in third world countries because of their contribution to black culture, and because of also the contribution to music in the Western world. And I do love black people, and I feel as though I've always had a black soul, but actually I've met Muslims and I've fallen in love with those people as well, maybe falling in love with their religiosity, because when I see it in a Christian, I also find them very engrossing and loving people, which is a two-way thing. You cannot love if you are not loved yourself. The idea is that in this poem we are talking about allowing the vine to grow wild. You can cultivate a vine, produce the grapes, and then 200 years down the road that vine has no immune system because of conventional farming methods, and the genetic strain of that vine is apt to disease of one kind or another, and they get wiped out. And interestingly, just this time now in Italy, we are seeing something of their olive trees being affected, a very large proportion of their olive trees being affected. And it has been like this with vines in the past and with many other plants, that if things do not grow wild, they lose their genetic vigour. So the idea is that if I'm a vine, that's one side of me, that's one part of my soul, if you can call it that. Maybe the spirit within me. Yes, the spirit. Because my interpretation of a soul is very much to do with a collective consciousness and how people in your social circle affect your other consciousness. So the vine that grows wild, that's my spirit looking to be accepted in a world that's denuding itself of all that is wild. This rapidly developing world, which is not evolution, it's development, it's devolution. You're not anybody I know, yet I met you once before. You hide behind that mask you use in order to draw closer to me. I don't need your fake look, pretty as a window hemmed in snow. I open you up to reveal your naked roots. I see where you come from, a vine hidden amongst bushes. You wind yourself to the forefront, hoping to strangle your competitors out. Don't suffocate on my behalf, I really don't enjoy it. Just let me pick of your fruit in passing. Better to grow wild, better you let go. I'd rather see you meek than scrapping for a show. Dress only to feel warm, so that I may share in your heat. You'd fare more strangely if you draw me to your feet. I am a traveller in the ocean, swishing from side to side. I lumber into your arms only when the moment is right, like a bobbing coconut moored to your island shores. You wrap me up in your naked tendrils, feeling your way over my roughened shell. Only then can you open me to the cracks of my salt-dried skin, but inside is a freshness as soft as a mollusk's sheen. Reveal in time my hidden treasure, nurtured over countless aeons, and then maybe you will return to the hidden source, the earth to whose moisture we share. And sometimes I think I am more a poet than a musician, but actually I've written some wonderful songs, and after 90 odd songs you get very good at it. And some people maybe some people really just like the idea of being creative, and after so many songs, if they're not caught in a rat race, they just go to their corner and invite people in, rather than have to go out to the world to show what they've done. how clever they could be in doing so much, in being so creative. There's only one really true intelligence, and that's to be yourself. It's not clever to try and change people's minds. It's best that we all create our own space and then invite people to share in that. And if people will trust in that, then you get their love. A whole year I've delayed this journey. I've only just bought the front rack for my bicycle. I needed the extra baggage because I thought I'm going beyond Morocco now. What was originally going to be a 2,000 kilometre trip around Morocco doing some surfing. And of course there's lots of Moroccans here, so I know a few. In Catalonia. I met a Senegalese woman on the beach of La Meillade. Well, not exactly on the beach, but on the walkways. And I played music for her and she gave me a gift. Look. See? And that doesn't necessarily mean Senegal, but rather Africa. And I can't get this thing off, and it's been on there for months. She gave me this as a gift, even though she's a beautiful Muslim married woman, a big African with a small child, whose husband I never met, as far as I know, and who just plaits people's hairs and make wonderful things with her hands like this. Living here 7 years, speaking many languages, better than I. I get by in Spanish just about, and they speak Catalan here anyway. And I get by on my Spanish because the Catalans speak Spanish as a second language. Otherwise I probably wouldn't understand them if it was their first language. Believe me, I cannot hear people when they just rabbit on at incredible speeds. I can't, because of the way I understand the English language, the way I've recultured myself and created my own culture, the way I play with words and concepts. I cannot translate that into Spanish, and so when I'm listening to people in English, I hear them in my own way. If I want to translate something into Spanish, I find it very difficult because I cannot think in the Western mindset, the Western mode of thinking. Yes, I'm self-created. Let me play you a song. I'm not sure if this is going to come out too well, but it's maybe a video that you would cherish one day. I'm not sure what song I'm going to play. I've always wanted to do another copy of The Flight of the Cyclist, which is the last song I wrote in Ireland, and for me it's a classic song. But my voice isn't great because I've got this illness. Just come on this morning actually, and that's what's brought on my higher awareness. I may have to do a couple of dummy runs on this. Let's have a look. Interestingly, when I tune a guitar, I just pick a string and think, well, that sounds alright, and then I tune all the rest of the strings to that one. Beyond the rooftops, there's a mountain, and beyond that, a sky, beneath of which flutters a bird. Above the arboreal hillside, there's a street of smoke wandering. Oh, a shadow behind the window wandering. Below, meandering to a gravel screen, the tinkling of a spring. A car motors onwards, directing its object of destination. It hoots and flashes with intent, its motive of deliberation. Beneath is a roll, oh, that's lifeless, and encroaching with its enemy. It bakes in the summer and cracks in the winter. In its oily, indifferent melody, there's a cyclist who travels the world, carrying what little to boot he needs. But most of all, he shares in his experiences and his most adventurous days. The people come out to greet him from behind their doors and windows. In their own small words they reminisce of a life that remembers a child who grows. Oh, they want to be free and travel and dream of flying the open air. But always they must return to their ease and their seals in their cagey lays. Oh, when will they let go of their material possessions? Can they buy a holiday to the sun? They are anchored in the roots of a tragedy that binds their hands and feet as one, sinking ever further into the floorboards beneath the layers of their rags. They can all but let go if they would even dare to join the cyclist in his life. But to keep him here, oh, just a little longer, to see what material goods I want show. And surely the cyclist will stay in Diva and plant a little lower. Oh yeah, he's on soul. Oh no, he had foreseen this.